Right now?
And then if we could just let them know that oh, don't take her numbers, but if you want to network outside, yeah.
Yep. I got a little spiel on that
Perfect. We're ready.
That's what I'm looking at right now.
Okay. Thanks for coming.
Okay, so
you might need to pull that, up here someplace where it works for you better and spin things around. I got a recording right now. We can cut that out, Again, the Blair Witch, no big deal.
let's see. Oh, it's on already. It's on? Okay. Yeah.
Hey everybody, we're going to go ahead and get this thing rolling. It's time is moving on. We don't want to miss a minute of it, right? You okay? Yes, sir. Good. Okay, so I would like to thank you all for making it to a meeting here of the Realty 411 magazine. Linda Pliagas has basically put this thing on.
My pleasure.
And also Santa Barbara Real Estate Investor Association. We have recently moved to Fess Parker. It's like we're out of the Denny's and the pizza places. We're finally moving on. Out of the ghetto. We've got a few people here that out of the ghetto, exactly. Who said that? We have a few people here from our REIA, so I'm glad to see that. I actually started the Santa Barbara Real Estate Investor Association about 6 years ago, and basically it wasn't something I set out to do. It wasn't like my dream or my goal. I just had some people say, you know what, we're tired of going back and forth from here to Los Angeles doing these long drives, and what we'd really like to do is have something here in town. And I said, yeah, we ought to start our own, REIA or something. Well, about 6 months down the road, I got this email from my friend who I was talking to, and she said, we're going to start a REIA in Santa Barbara, and Dan Ringwald said he'd be the president. Uh-oh. I did? Oh no. Sounds like it's time for me to, get serious about this and do something. So, it's all about networking. And in fact, we've got a number of booths here and people that are going to be speaking. Some are not going to be speaking, but they do have vendor booths. So if you get to the point where you want to talk to somebody, you want to do a deal, this is kind of what I tell people when they come into our evening meetings from 6 to 9. All this education is great. We're really here for the networking. The education is great. But if you're in a situation where you've got somebody you say, hey, you know what, you and I need to talk. We need to get out of here. Please don't feel like we're going to be offended that you get up and walk outside and do something. Because if you can work a deal with somebody, that's all we're doing here is trying to help you get to the point where you feel like you can do that. Okay? So feel free to go outside anytime you want, grab anybody, talk to some of the vendors that happen to be out there, and let's just do this. We've got a lot going on all day long till about 5 o'clock, and so we've got a number of people who will be speaking, like I say, some vendors who will not. We have Matthew Owens here, and I'm going to pull you up here in just a second, and I just want to say that Matthew is quite a guy. He's helped me out in the past. I've got 3 properties in Memphis, and I've had some major problems with some property managers, and I hired, fired, have teams around the nation doing different things, and I call up Matthew, and he gave me some good encouraging words about, how he's dealt with things and why he's had to build his own team. In fact, I have a friend tenant here in town that wants to get into real estate. He's going to City College. He wants to go to UCSB. He wants to be an accountant. And I said, well, that's exactly the path that Matthew went down. UCSB, got his accounting degree, went out, started buying properties and dealing with all this stuff. And unfortunately, he couldn't make it there, but we're doing some videos. And so he'll be able to see it. All the stuff that I usually do in my REIA, I put up on YouTube so that at some point you can get back, you can get access to seeing it. can you see this in the back there? Are you able to read this in the back? Is that clear? Okay, so you get an idea. Matthew's experience, completed over 150 transactions in 5 years, most of which have been held long-term. I like long-term. Me too. That's a good way to go. Okay, so currently manages a portfolio of all cash flow investors and has raised over $15 million in funds through various investment vehicles. OGC team has experience in various aspects of real estate investment, in-source due diligence, acquisitions, renovation, property management, sales of all properties, therefore increasing efficiency and decreasing outsourced risk. We talked about Matthew being a UCSB graduate. Did you enjoy going to UCSB?
It was a lot of fun. That's all I'm going to admit to.
This is part of it. I actually worked there for 25 years and created a computer service organization, and a student of mine and I created UCSB.edu. Imagine that.
Nice.
Everybody on campus was going, why are you guys doing this? You're like nothing. There's a big computer center. How come you're doing this? And I said, well, you know, probably because we are nothing. You know, it takes a lot of bureaucracy and policies and decisions. We just did it. So, you know, I do that too, computer support. So if you need that, that's an option for you. Matthew specializes in real estate investment combined with corporate and individual taxation, bookkeeping services. That's good. Business and real estate consulting. He worked as a CPA, auditor, and business advisor while running his own tax business before founding OCG Properties. So I want you to give Matthew a warm welcome.
All right, who here is from Santa Barbara? Nice. So we got some locals, and so you guys realize why I didn't really want to be an accountant, but I wanted to be an architect. But they didn't have that at Santa Barbara, and I wasn't leaving the school. It was a little bit too much fun. My dad was actually a CPA, and he told me not to do it, but I didn't listen, of course. So he would give me homework during the summers. It was pretty funny. So, as you guys know, I'm a CPA. I'm originally from Los Angeles. Lived in Torrance my whole life. Came up here, went to school, and I was working at a couple of different CPA firms before I actually started my own company in real estate. I was actually working on the audit side, where I would go in and help companies increase their bottom line, as well as look at the fraud risk factors within companies, look at how I can make their structures more efficient with proper segregation of duties and things like that. And I'm sitting at a table with the firm's largest client, which happened to be real estate investors, and they're talking about multi-million-dollar transactions, and the owners are just like, yeah, no problem, yeah, sounds good, trusting their CEOs to do whatever, and these guys are just done at this point. They're just completely wealthy. And I'm sitting there going, I am sitting on the wrong side of the table over here. I got to get on the other side. And so I started to learn and invest in real estate while I was working there, and I quit my corporate job I'd say about a little over 5 years now, and been able to purchase about 150 transactions or properties since then out in the Memphis, Tennessee and Atlanta, Georgia markets, primarily in the Memphis, Tennessee market. And we realized really quickly how hard it is to do from afar, and the need for your own team, your own property management companies, because the property management will make or break your investment. And we learned where to buy. There's a huge learning curve going into this, and so while going through the pains of learning, I realized that nobody else really, why not set up a system so that people can skip that learning curve, or at least the monetary learning curve. And so we started to set up systems to educate our investors on how to do the right due diligence on real estate investments, how to go out there and really do everything right, how to run your return on investment analysis, how to mitigate risk in different areas, and really how to analyze each individual investment. So I do that not just for my business and my investments, but for a lot of different investors. Bring their deals to me, and I help them deal with that. I help them deal with the structuring of their investments for tax and legal and liability purposes, even though I'm not technically an attorney, so I'm not allowed to say that, but I go through and do it anyways because it's definitely necessary, and a lot of attorneys will tell you to set up the entities that you don't need necessarily right away. So what we do is we do a lot of joint ventures with investors, primarily joint ventures. We will sell investors properties if they don't want to joint venture with us. We'll help them invest in notes, but all of our assets have the proper risk mitigation. We've done all the due diligence, and we provide the packages of the due diligence for our investors. And we go through and just honestly help people build their growth, build their wealth, and set up strategic financial plans to actually get to their goals. A lot of people go through and they buy 1 or 2 properties, but they've never really set up a plan. They've never put together a personal budget. They've never put together their personal financial statement to really see where they are now, so they can really determine where they want to be in 5, 10 years or upon retirement. And so, you know, in my opinion, that's one of the most necessary things that you can be doing as a real estate investor, is setting up these strategic financial plans for yourself. Instead of just saying, yeah, I want to get this property, I want to get this investment, look at your financial situation and say, okay, is this going to get me to my goals? Is this producing enough cash flow to get me to my goals? Is my goal cash flow in the first place, or do I need to build equity? What are the different strategies that you can utilize to do that? And how do I get educated enough so that I'm not so afraid to actually pull the trigger on something and get started? Whether it's with me or anybody else, or on your own, you have to be educated enough so that you're not afraid to pull that trigger in one way, shape, or form. A little more about me. We're buying about 5 properties a month right now. I have an in-house management company. We're currently managing about 80 properties out in the Memphis market right now. And one of my best friends named Lester actually moved out to Tennessee to manage our properties and all of our renovations as well. As you guys know, I went to Santa Barbara, graduated in economics with an emphasis in accounting. I do a lot of corporate and individual taxation. I do a lot of residential analysis on the real estate side, financial reporting for different CPA firms, and that's kind of my accounting experience, the tax planning side, the side that, you know, really whether you're buying 1 property or 10 or 50, it's a business and should be treated that way. There's a lot of tax deductions that can go into this if you're actively involved in the business, trying to manage it. I do a lot of real estate taxation because of that, as well as lending analysis, property management consulting, residential investment analysis and things like that, as well as on the commercial side. There's a lot of numbers and projections and different things that go into that whenever you're dealing with different investments. Who here has heard of a pro forma statement, where it's like an income statement? So everything is going to, unless it's a large commercial building, is going to be sold on a pro forma basis. So you need to look at your numbers and your comfort level and say, is that assumption right for me? And is that accurate based on what my comfort level is? Now, we may have differences of opinion as far as what those assumptions are. Different people may have had different experiences, and so you need to adjust your return on investment analysis for what your comfort level is and what your assumptions need to be. A little bit more about me. I'm a gigantic Laker fan. Unfortunately, the season is just not going on right now. It's killing me. It's all about money, but hopefully the Lakers will pull that out this year. I have 3 dogs. This is Scrappy, Tonka, and Bandit. I left her outside for 5 minutes in the morning when it was raining. That was the biggest mistake. It was horrible. And of course, I hadn't had my coffee yet when I saw this. I was just so mad. Now the screen door that they go through is now a doggy door because they just run through it all the time. But this is my little sister. She's 8 years old. I actually just bought her Cash Flow for Kids, the Robert Kiyosaki game. It's so great to see her actually going through and playing the game, getting a paycheck, and then saying, well, I have to pay my monthly expenses. Wait, no, I don't want to do that. And I'm going, you have to, that's part of life. You got to do it, you know? So, and it's pretty funny because the whole object of the game is once you have enough passive income from your opportunities that you land on to cover all your expenses, you're financially free. And these are little lessons that even her mom doesn't know about, you know? It's pretty interesting. So this is my girlfriend right here. She's over here. She actually is a full-time bookkeeper, and she was a controller for our old CPA firm, and she runs her own bookkeeping practice. This is my mom and my brother. My brother is actually my property acquisition manager. He analyzes like 100 properties a week. It's amazing what he analyzes. And we just go through constantly doing that, analyzing different deals. I also run a group of investors called For Investors by Investors. Has anybody here heard of it? It's down in LA, so a couple of the vendors have heard of it, yeah. And basically the whole point of the group is, there was a couple of founders of the group, and I became a partner a couple of years ago, where they were sick and tired of getting pitched books and tapes and boot camps and CD sets and everything else. Granted, some great information there, but not everybody wants to go and get educated. They don't want to be sold something all the time. And so we set this group up specifically with the whole idea that you're not allowed to sell